And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle.
Wait till you see this next 24 hours, how many people are recording and how much footage is going to come out.
I'm personally grateful now more than ever for the sacrifices that President Trump has made. And I'm grateful that God stepped in tonight to save him for this country.
We are 1 inch from something far more terrible tonight.
You know, all of this has me thinking about President Trump, 78 years old, independently wealthy, though they're trying to stop that too. And he's been through the ringer. My God, before tonight, he's been through the ringer for this country over the past 8-9 years.
Hey fam, welcome and welcome back to One and Done. Crazy times. Donald Trump, Teflon Don, narrowly missing assassination by at least an inch. How many lives does he have? First is the character assassination. They tried to bankrupt him, and now physical assassination. And he keeps coming back out on top. Now with all the live streams, all the reactions, even people on the left are coming out supporting Trump. They're going, wait on, no, this is, you're going too far now. I thought they were going too far way back. Now so much to get into. We got CNN, we got Fox News, we got Megyn Kelly, PBD Podcast, TYT, and many more. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's roll that tape.
You know, all of this has me thinking about President Trump, 78 years old, independently wealthy, though they're trying to stop that too, as I pointed out. And he's been through the ringer. My God, before tonight, he's been through the ringer for this country over the past 8-9 years. You know, he was the host of the #1 television program in America. The Apprentice was crushing it. And he was the reason. As soon as they tried to use another host, it went down the tubes. He could have just stayed doing that. He was beloved. He wasn't as controversial. He didn't have to get into politics, but he did. And he's stayed in politics. He's been president. Why would he run again? Just, right? Like, who would do such a thing? Just go back to your private life and your beautiful wife and your children, and your grandchildren, and your golf courses. Why put yourself through this? Why continue engaging with these people who hate you and want to destroy you? And you know it.
Beautifully summed up there by Megyn Kelly. Exactly, this is a question I've asked many, many times. Trump, why? Why couldn't you just go and relax, enjoy your life, enjoy your family? Because he's a rare man. He's a man that has a purpose. He has a drive. And I feel as though what they have done, they've immortalized this guy. They're either going to have to take one of the heads off the Mount Rushmore, or they're going to have to start carving out a spot for Trump because they've immortalized him. There's going to be documentaries made about this guy. He's going to be one of the greatest figures in American history. And you can thank the Democrats. You can thank the mainstream liberal media. Fake news, yes, those ones. And they also have to take a lot of the blame for the rhetoric, the fear-mongering, maybe activating some loonies. And if you can't remember, this is what I'm talking about.
Of course, it's Trump is a Nazi time again.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I mean, that is Mussolini, Hitler-like language.
Trump's affinity for Hitler was always covered under an umbrella of his stupidity.
Echoing Hitler's words.
Listen to this.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right. Echoing the hateful rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
It echoes Hitler.
That's the kind of language Hitler used in Mein Kampf.
That vermin and Hitler and Mussolini.
That's a horrifying clip. That's a fascist clip.
You're just going full on Hitler.
It's from Hitler's Germany.
We just need to say, for the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler.
Echo dictators like Hitler.
With language evoking authoritarian figures like Adolf Hitler.
Donald Trump parroted the autocratic language of Adolf Hitler.
Talk about the brilliance of Hitler's generals.
Correct.
So these guys have to take a lot of the blame. They keep doing it over and over again. They treat their listeners like numpties. They feed them all this BS, get them all hyped up. Many of them clinically diagnosed with TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now, some of these liberal left lunatics that we see have actually started to come out. The tide is slowly starting to turn.
I gotta say, you know, I've called Trump a coward 18 different times, and actually literally more, right? And I've seen him flinch in 18 different ways, and he ran from Vietnam, all that stuff. But this is not the time. He actually looked strong there. Look, our job is to be honest with you guys. So first of all, #1, terrible. Who the hell would shoot anyone let alone the president, let alone Trump or Biden. It's just such a disastrous, terrible, awful thing, right? We got to get gun control. I know Republicans don't want to hear that right now. No, but this is crazy, nuts. And if you think you're helping by trying to do violence against Trump or any Republican, you are definitely not helping. And you are definitely not one of us if you do violence. Violence is a surrender. It's an intellectual surrender. It means I can't beat him on my idea, so I have to do violence and try to end him in a different physical way. It's the worst thing you could imagine. So thank God he's okay. I want to defeat Trump politically, but never like this, right? So thank God he's fine.
Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
What's up?
Watch this. Watch. Look at that. You see the blood on his ear. He put his hand up defiantly. God damn, bro. All right, so look. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. Look at that. Oh, God. One of the Chapo guys said, I know you shouldn't even be thinking of this in the context of electoral politics right now. But one of the Chapo guys was like, if he puts this picture next to that video of Biden explaining how I don't have to go to bed at 8 p.m. most nights. Bro. All right, look, we got another one. This is a slightly different one, but goddamn. Look at these pictures.
Exactly, and this is what the media has done. They've immortalized them. They've immortalized Trump. These powerful images will be ringing out for decades to come. So many documentaries are going to be made. What do they do now? Now for Carl and Jank to come out and say this? Wow. Now the BBC interviewed one of the witnesses. It's very interesting what he had to say.
And listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
This doesn't even feel real at this point. This is like a movie. This is like a nightmare. Well, for Secret Service, it sounds like a nightmare. Like people are telling you, hey, there's someone on the roof. Even if you don't believe him, even if you can't see it, you think this guy's a clown. You think he's one of these mega radicals. At least one of you go and investigate, right? Now, I'm interested to see PBD's reaction, and they react after seeing this video we've just watched.
PBD, that's security. I'm telling you right now, the fact that a regular person's yelling for minutes and nobody's doing anything, I don't trust anybody, PBD. I don't trust my security. I don't trust the Secret Service. The police are lost. This dude, I don't trust any of it, Pat. I don't trust any of it. I would clean house and I would just bring my own security detail. This is ridiculous. This sounds like JFK shit. Oh, we didn't know he was there, grassy knoll over here. And by the way, Pat, we haven't seen, by the way, Zapruder had one camera. Wait till you see this next 24 hours, how many people are recording and how much footage is going to come out. So we actually see what happened and how they responded.
Yeah, interesting there from Vinny. I sort of agree. It's really weird. I think there's going to be some investigation going on. I believe the FBI have already stepped in to say, hey, we're going to investigate this, but they didn't do too well with Hunter Biden, did they? Is it going to be another nothing to see here, folks? Anyway, this is an amazing opportunity for President Biden to come out, show his leadership, galvanize the United States of America. In fact, bring the world together, reassure everybody, and I'm sure he's going to deliver.
Thanks for coming, folks. I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have engaged in making sure that people, and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. The bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. If anything happened, they learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to him tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried for his own safety? Was the security failing, Mr. President?
Well, that was very unconvincing. At least he got the name right. I believe on the teleprompter they showed him a picture of Donald Duck, so he was able to say Donald. At least he didn't call him Putin. But what a weak message. It was a great opportunity for him to galvanize the country together. It was literally 2 minutes, and if you take out the double speak, maybe a minute 30. Extremely unconvincing.
Somebody tweeted like, oh, I see Joe Biden took that Supreme Court ruling on immunity to heart. So I'm sure people are going to blame Biden. I'm sure the deep state is going to be blamed. It's going to be, forget it, they might blame China, whatever. Like, I'm sure there's going to be conspiracies galore. 100% guaranteed. In fact, I'm already starting to see some floating around. Okay. The other thing is, I think that this is going to lead to mainstream media going way, way easier on Trump. I think it's going to lead to mainstream media honestly thinking like, damn, maybe we contributed to this because we're so hard on him. And maybe we shouldn't go as hard on him because we don't want people to misinterpret our rhetoric and think we want people to do violence against him.
Funny, yes. Joe Biden wouldn't have been happy with the Supreme Court. He never is when he loses, or if Trump gets a win. As for mainstream liberal media going easy on Donald Trump, I can't really see that happening. Maybe it'll happen for 5 minutes. And in regards to conspiracy theories, what do you expect? I mean, they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at this guy. Facing 91 criminal charges? I mean, seriously? Now, presidential immunity might get rid of most of them. Only time will tell. Now, speaking of the mainstream liberal media, the Conspiracy Clown Network, at least there's one person on there that I can stand listening to. His name's Scott Jennings.
Scott Jennings, the president in that statement, and you heard Caitlin Collins report it, says he was hit by a bullet in the upper part of my right ear. He says he knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. It's awful. This is a former president of the United States.
I mean, think about what you just said. We are 1 inch from something far more terrible tonight. I mean, the country is already shocked, and we are in bad need of healing and unity in this country, but we are 1 inch from something far worse. Republicans I'm hearing from tonight are shocked. They are worried about our country. They're worried about Donald Trump. They're worried about the rhetoric around Donald Trump. I mean, I hate to say it, but the rhetoric around him over the last few weeks, that if he wins an election, our country will end, our democracy will end, it's the last election we'll ever have.
Crazy.
These things have consequences, okay? I don't know what the motivations of this shooter are. I don't know any of the details, but I know the rhetoric around Trump has grown extreme. You mentioned some other violence. You didn't mention the Supreme Court, attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice, or the congressional baseball game where Steve Scalise was nearly murdered. One a conservative, the other a Republican. But we have people in this country who are dedicated to telling half the country that if Donald Trump wins an election, the country will end, the Constitution will go away, and so on and so forth. What I want to hear from all elected officials is this kind of hyperbolic extremism has consequences, and it must end. Yes, we're all shocked, and yes, political violence has no place. Where does it come from? It's got to stop.
But we're also hearing from Trump very, very strong statements of condemnation of Biden, the worst president, the most dangerous president, and all of that.
Well, the difference between Trump and Biden and the rhetoric is what Trump is saying is actually true. He is the worst president. Biden is the worst president, hands down. And the polls are showing that. They can spin everything the way they want, CHIPS Act, infrastructure bill. The reality is inflation, porous borders, safety, inflation, cost of living. You're just clowning yourself if you think this guy's done a good job. Not only that, he's pitting genders against genders. He's pitting blacks against whites. It's carnage and chaos when it comes to Biden. Now, Trump, on the other hand, he's literally taking a bullet for you. He's standing in the way of the deep state. This guy could be living a cushy life. Now, one thing I will say is he has to be super smart, especially after what's happened here. I really fear for him. I don't think this is going to be the last attempt. Now, if that assassin didn't get shot, he would have got fired for sure. Now, one person that should be high, extremely high on Trump's list, because I feel as though he's probably the only person he will be able to truly trust, and that's Vivek Ramaswamy.
It's a horrifying day for the United States of America. I want your thoughts. When you first heard about this, what went through your mind? What's going through your mind now?
What's going through my mind now, first of all, is we heard the story of that person, an innocent, enthusiastic rally goer who was shot and killed. First, our heart goes out to them and our condolences goes out to that family. But I should say this, Trace, is that I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country. If you think about this, 1 centimeter's distance in the path of a bullet was the future of not only Donald Trump's life, but I think the life of the United States of America. Imagine what we would be talking about today were it not for a hair's length difference in the path of a bullet. And I think that that's frightening. And I think that this is a moment for us all to step back. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, voting for Biden, voting for Trump, it doesn't matter. This is a moment where if one positive thing comes out of this otherwise near tragedy, let it be this, that first of all, we saw a president, a commander-in-chief, who in his most vulnerable moment, you saw it unvarnished. He stood up, he took the fire, he took the hit, and still stood up for the people who he stepped up to represent. And I think the other thing we have to take away is that this is unacceptable in the United States of America. This is not who we are. Disagree or not, we settle our differences peacefully through free speech and open debate, not this way. And so if one silver lining comes out of tonight, let it be that. And I hope that we begin the process of healing as a country while avoiding what could have been a national disaster that really, without exaggeration, could spell the end of the United States as we know it had this gone a different direction.
Now just listen to the way that Vivek articulates himself. Incredible, strong messaging, inspirational the way he talks. Now this is definitely someone Trump could use on his team. Someone that's as articulate as Vivek. Now Trump's a great speaker, but he's not the most articulate. He can entertain a crowd. But when it comes to messaging, I feel as though Vivek would be able to mop up and clean up many messes and shut the mainstream liberal media down. Not only that, he has a dislike for bureaucrats as well. And compare Vivek's message to Joe Biden. There is no comparison.
Vivek, it's Martha McCallum here. I'm thinking about President Biden came out and made some comments. He may make more comments. We know they had a phone conversation earlier. He called what happened sick, and he said it's one of the reasons I want to unite this country. We've had a lot of vitriol, and I don't think it's, the politics, there's going to be a lot of politics starting this week. But, what do you think the impact is as you look at where the country is right now? And given the fact that the last couple of weeks have been all about concerns that we see in polling over President Biden's ability to serve and his fitness.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll give you a couple of tidbits that I've experienced even in the last few hours. I've had CEOs across the country from different corridors that would have been previously afraid to state their support for Donald Trump, or maybe even personally tepid about it, now coming in and asking, how can I help? I'm all in. These are exactly words of people who have contacted me alone in the last several hours, and I'm sure that's true of people across the country. The reality is I don't want to make this political tonight. This is not the moment for that. I will say that President Biden, who ran on the platform of uniting the country, had an opportunity even tonight to really rise to the occasion in a way that he fell short. I don't say this is criticizing him as a Democrat, but somebody who was rooting for a president to rise to the occasion immediately and not only offer the usual ritual incantation, the ritual condemnation of political violence. Yeah, we got that. But a deeper, heartfelt sense to say that, you know what? This is a man who I'm running against, but it is wrong that this should happen to anybody. And this is not who we are as Americans. And if I, as a U.S. president, have failed to create this environment in this country, then I will own that because the buck stops with me as the commander in chief. I don't think we saw that kind of message come from President Biden tonight. And for all of the discussions about how he came short up after the debate, I do think that even tonight was a moment for a man who ran on the platform of uniting the country to have fallen short in the way that he did. But this is less about criticizing President Biden and more asking the question of how we as Americans are able to say we're moving on. We're turning a page on a chapter of our history where we see our political opponents as our enemies. Let tonight mark the end of that. And if so, something positive, as you could imagine, at least something small positive that came out of this tonight, let it be that.
Vivek, you talk about rising to the occasion. I want to go back to what you were saying earlier there, which was the response of the former president after moments after he had been shot. And he got up and he said, I need my shoes. And then he stopped and he fist pumped a couple of times and he said, fight, fight. And the response was USA, USA, because that's the natural response. At all of his rallies, he talks about fighting. It's been a theme. And the theme is they're coming for you, but I'm in the way. So you got to keep fighting. What do you think about that response and that having the wherewithal to do that?
Well, look, I think those images we saw, our kids and our grandkids are going to be viewing that image in their history books. That was American history tonight and for the better. It was like the images of George Washington crossing the Delaware with the flag in the background. That's what we saw tonight. And it was one of those moments. Our founding fathers, they risked not only their fortunes, but their lives for this country. And I think this is one of those moments where we have a leader who has made a sacrifice. I'm personally grateful now more than ever for the sacrifices that President Trump has made. And I'm grateful that God stepped in tonight to save him for this country.
Beautifully said, Vivek. Exactly. This dude is going to be immortalized, like I said before. Put him straight on Mount Rushmore. Thanks, Democrats. Ladies and gentlemen, your next president. Let's just hope they don't try it again, because this is really his second assassination attempt. The first one was character assassination, failure, made him more popular. In fact, some would say revitalized his dead political career, brought him back, literally from the dead. And now this physical assassination attempt. But it's important for the country to come together. And I like some of the words that Megyn Kelly said.
We are so lucky to have been born in this country. We hit the lottery. Our patriotism must be reignited for America. And yes, our understanding that there's humanity on both sides. The hard partisan loons who have been behind the rhetoric we've discussed tonight do not represent either side. And there is room for a reconnection. But I'll tell you what, President Trump needs to win this election. Period. President Trump needs to win this election. It's not about him anymore. It's about us. And so I hope you'll vote, and I hope you'll vote Republican. And I hope you'll say a prayer for President Trump and his family, and indeed for President Biden.
Yeah, nice words there from Megan. Time to wrap up the video. But look, at the moment, we're thinking of Donald Trump and his family. Obviously, the person that was lost and injured. But the Trumps are sacrificing a lot for the country. They could be living large, living life large at Mar-a-Lago, enjoying those billions in peace and quiet. The next 48 hours are going to be super interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How did this make you feel? How is this going to impact your decision? What do you think about the state of the country? I look forward to your comments. Don't forget to hit that like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next video.